Fullest House, first edition. We're playing Vaettiheim, and it is turn 4. So let's see. I actually did modify this turn just a little bit. I decided to YOLO in on those commanders. I figured if there were only actually commanders there, we would take it. And if there were wizards, well, I'd rather lose half an expansion party than a full expansion party. This, of course, are assassinations. Yep, and mounted commanders are a problem for Dimvetti. So that does not work out. And then we're probably going against the same mounted commander. So yeah, these can go either way. And this could be a problem. Did we get a poison or bleeding? We got bleeding on him, so this may kind of work out. Nope. So yeah, this is the inconsistent part of Assassin expansion. So that's unfortunate. We probably at this point will have to use our regular troops to clear those, and yeah, it's just a waste of money, unfortunately. So it can work, right? I've seen those guys assassinate mounted commanders before, no problem. It really kind of seems to be not 50-50. I would say more often than not they succeed, but there's significant amount of failures, as we just saw. And it looks like there were actually only more or less commanders in that province, so we just took that with sort of half of an expansion party, so that at least went well. And then this is our starting army. Yeah, taking some more woods, This is more stuff than I was hoping for, and we could be in trouble here. This militia will not be a problem, but this amount of heavy infantry for how many goblins we have could be a bit of a problem. Hopefully we will get the HP route, because there's a lot of militia here, right? So yeah, so we routed the militia. Heavy infantry are hanging out. Yeah, we're definitely losing guys. Archers are helping out a little bit. I don't think we're actually taking too much friendly fire there, so it actually worked out a little better than I would have expected. But I'm sure we took some casualties. Yeah, fairly significant. So we lose a Vetti, always sad, and we lose about half the Vetti spearmen. So this party probably still can expand, but they're gonna have to go after easier targets, or they may have to combine, but not bad. This wasn't a particularly tough province, but 46 units is nothing to sneeze at. And then we had an unexpected event on our capital. Yeah, that's not too bad. Just I'm sure it's a rumor. No one was actually sacrificed. Just ignore where those 300 people went. So yeah, we'll see you guys after the jump. All right, so this is the situation and what we're doing about it. Things are starting to feel a little wonky, as often happens with expansion. Not that things are going badly. We're okay. We're on track. We would like to start our fort on turn 6, our first fort. We'll see if that happens. Was tempted to combine everything to go after this Knight province, which was kind of the plan, but I kind of want to know how many knights are there, and I don't love only expanding into one province this turn. The nice thing is that if it works well, then it sets us up to resplit our expansion groups to take these 2 forests, which we really do want. But on the other hand, we don't know how many knights are here, and we don't love expanding into knights, and if we send every expansion asset we have at the knights and it fails miserably, then that's it, right? No more expanding for a hot second. So it would definitely be risky. So instead, we're going to go after these 2 easy provinces, because a fort here would be reasonable, I feel like, for us. We'll see sometimes when there's not a lot of defenders, it's not a very good province, but not always. And then, of course, the other thing is we talked with Marignon, and he let us know that he knew that Calum was to his northwest, and we actually see Calum's capital is here now, right? So this area is going to close down relatively quickly, so we'd like to sort of get our flag in here, especially in our cap circle, and this province that we're thinking about a fort in. And I feel like Calum is actually also probably a decent war target for Vaettiheim. I'll have to double check, but in the earlier ages, Calum is relatively lightly armored. In late ages, people tend to get heavier armor, so that may not be the case anymore. But yeah, we like lightly armored guys, so the birds might be a good rush target for us, and we would definitely want to get them before they get full-sized air elementals, because trampling is extra bad for Vaettiheim. So something to consider to our north, and kind of like why we're heading that way. We do start to actually see flags now, right? So we can see Abyssia has expanded here, which is fine. Like, we weren't planning on, getting out there. And we see that Bogarus has expanded here, which is a little sad because we may not get this province with our assassins. This is perhaps an easier province. Like I said, it seems like sometimes there's mounted commanders, in provinces where there's no cavalry listed and vice versa. But we don't want to mess with that mounted commander anymore. So we're going to sneak our other assassin here over and, try to assist and probably use like our next... We're sending this half Wolf Brother expansion group home to pick up like a round of Wolf Brothers. So it'll be at a good size, and unfortunately, we're going to waste a lot of time with this group. I'm not thrilled about. We're definitely wasting time here because we're going to have to move there, pick up guys, and then we probably just have to move back into the wasteland. So from there, if we want to be aggressive, we can definitely take this province, but it's pretty close to Bogarus. I mean, it's not that far from us either, but this would definitely be the more aggressive expansion. We do really want to get into this forest. Our Wolf Brothers here, 7 Wolf Brothers, they might be able to take this. I would feel decent about 20 units if there weren't too many heavy infantry, but, this could fluctuate up, right? So if there's 40, we would probably get wiped out. But anyway, this is looking like another relatively easy forest, so we really do want to get into that. So we'll probably head over and grab this forest and just try to encircle this Knight province, maybe make that our second fort, maybe try to get into this cave system, and that'll probably be it. That'll at least give us good access across the river, although with our scales coming in, as long as we get it on both sides of the river, it'll freeze and it won't be such a good boundary. But anyway, it'll just help keep open this river. And Marignan won't love that, but a lot of human nations kind of struggle to expand into caves. So, kind of depends. We'll see. Marignan has not seen our capital yet, although I told them where we were. And they said they were not looking for any early aggression, which makes sense. They're kind of more of a blood power, like a late power. They can struggle early, like another decent rush target, although a little heavily armored, possibly, for Vaettiheim. I'm not sure. And like I said, they're over by the coast, so we'll see. But if we could get a cave, that's just sort of a nice thing to have. So pick up these Wolf Brothers, swing around, grab both of these forests and a cave. I'm sure we'll have time for all that. We still don't really see any capitals down here. So we may actually this even all the way down here. This is not a capital, not a capital, not a capital. So for whatever reason, there just doesn't really seem to be anyone that's spawned down here. So we may actually have time to fill out a good chunk down here. Really kind of depends. Utgard, of course, we know is over here, but this river, they should be able to get around it. So Utgard is probably going to start moving up into here relatively soon. So we need to get moving. We'll see. But like I said, we do kind of want to, this is going to close down a lot faster, I think, though, it always depends. And then we're recruiting another goad, and we're not actually doing any research because we're using our first mage to lead out this expansion party. It'll get taken over by this hearse. And then from there, we'll probably just combine with our original starting army with this kind of smaller Wolf Brother group, or we might send them back. We'll see. It depends. But I think that covers turn 4. All right, Fullest House, first edition, where we're playing Vaettiheim. This is turn 5. I think I have some dicey expansions. Ah, yes, and our assassinating, of course. All right, hopefully this works out better. This is just a regular commander, not mounted. I think it's the extra defense that they get from being mounted that makes life harder for all assassins, really. So there you go. Dimvetti, they can work. Not that assassinating a commander is the most impressive feat, but I will take it, considering how those have been going. And then, okay, so here we have some Wolf Riders. This is about half of what I normally like to use. Crossbowmen. Filming with terror, and we have some heavy infantry. This could go poorly. And the javelins. We don't like javelins either, and we make contact with the heavy infantry first, which is sad. There's not a lot of heavy infantry, and we do manage to cut a couple of them down. And now, of course, they start friendly firing. The crossbowmen friendly firing their light infantry. So this doesn't go great, but it does look like we're going to come away with it, and it is nice to pick up, extra provinces early. Now we just have to deal with, the command staff and the crossbows, but it looks like we got the route. I think we lost 3, I want to say. Yeah, 3. So, that's not great. But this is a pretty easy province, which is, it kind of highlights like why, I don't know, expanding with just 11, like you need other things. I haven't really figured that out yet. So like I said, this is about half of what I normally like to expand with, but it does work out. So that is good. And then we have, there's our starting army moving forward. Was thinking about combining it with other stuff, a little bit of heavy cav. That's a little scary. Quite a lot of heavy infantry, actually. This could go badly. I mean, it's good news that we should wipe out the heavy cav, right? Because they get ahead. There's the lance charge, which our Veti spearmen don't love, but better that the Veti spearmen go down. But yeah, you can see we struggle with the heavy armor. I think we're in a bounce here. We'll see the chill aura, maybe. Come on, Rimveti. I guess we still have a few spearmen. Yeah, there goes the morale. The Rimveti don't have fantastic morale. Yeah, I mean, that's good morale, but not great morale for a sacred. And of course, the archers are going to go. Our prophet is not routed, and we routed the heavy infantry. Oh my gosh, I think we might actually pull this out. Excellent. So yeah, I mean, this is not a viable expansion party anymore, and this is maybe a questionable expand, because it's going to cause problems for us going forward, but we did at least pull it out, and as you can see, that was definitely one that could go either direction, and then, hey, we actually got some defense. That's very nice, considering how much misfortune we're running. So yeah, not bad. I'll catch you guys after the cut. Alright, so this is the situation and what we're doing about it. It looks like we have 2 expands this turn, but we actually have 0. So not loving that. May have jumped the gun a little bit, kind of using the half-sized groups. Grabbing more provinces earlier is nice, but I did figure it would probably slow us down, and it definitely has. So, both of these provinces are looking a little scary. So we're just going to send a scout in to ping this and a commander in to ping this, and, get a sense of like, well, how many heavy cav, like how many knights? If it's mostly militia and longbowmen, not a problem. But if it's mostly knights, problem. So, we'll get a look at those provinces. We do have like our expanded Wolf Rider group, right? This is closer to, what I usually like to expand with. So this should be able to go for at least a couple provinces, depending on what we're up against. Unfortunately, we don't move through the wastes too quickly. We can actually one turn move to the Knight province. So, and we do have like a stack of garbage here. This is probably enough between, our stack of garbage and the Wolf Riders to take out this Knight province. But it does depend on how many knights there are, right? Like, we'd probably win, but we might take pretty heavy losses. So we're recruiting some more garbage, right? And depending on what we see here, we may go in on this, like, next turn. Or we may continue to recruit, more garbage here and work our way around and grab these forests first, and then end up here. Obviously, I'd love to get these provinces down here, but this is also, like, heavy infantry and heavy cavalry. So while this province looks relatively easy, depending on how many heavy infantries there are, I'm not sure we'd really have the strength to work our way all the way around here, and the forests really are more important. So, we can always, if Bogarus picks these up, then, maybe it's time to attack Bogarus. So, we'll see. Like, Utgard, of course, is down here and maybe moving up into this area. So, yeah, we're maybe, I don't want to say falling behind, but losing a bit of momentum, definitely. And then speaking of losing momentum, our other group here, took too many, like, casualties, eight units. We might be able to take these provinces. I am definitely worried about a bump in this province because this doesn't look very hard, and Kalem is right here. So I really should probably reach out to the Kalem player and kind of see, where they're at, what they're doing, how hostile they are. But even if we took it, that would probably be it. So we're sending this group back to pick up more Wolf Riders, getting another goad, which is, maybe still a little, like, suboptimal. Like, we're not recruiting our cap onlys, but we don't have a ton of money. We are recruiting maybe too many hearses. I do really like the hearses. And also, once we build labs in these forests, and we probably will build a lab in both of these forests, then we'll be recruiting our Veti hags instead of the hearses. So we kind of run out of hearse recruitment, like foreign recruit, later on. I do like to leave like one forest usually available, like without a lab to pump hearses out of. But yeah, I kind of like to get a decent number early on, since later on we're going to cut into our ability to produce more, and they can also double as scouts. They're expensive scouts, definitely, but then they can scout and raid. So they're kind of cheaper since they fill 2 roles, but they're not cheaper. So early on, kind of hurting for money with this style of play. We are just preaching with our prophet here. We could send him home to maybe grab like another expansion group, but we're building so many other commanders, it's not really necessary. I do like to get some dominion spread. That helps with scouting, and it's just nice to have. And we are probably going to build a fort here. It's not a great province. I'm coming from early age where the populations are much lower. So I see 8,500. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good province. But for late age, this is not great. It's mediocre. It's not a bad province by any stretch of the imagination. And it does border both of these forests, which is nice, right? Since we're planning on, doing a bunch of stuff there. So it's always nice to have another fort, to cover them. But we'll probably build a fort down here too. So that's not strictly necessary, but yeah, like building a fort any closer to Calum, obviously this is their cap circle, so we're not even gonna, we're not gonna take this. This isn't their cap circle, so we could take this, but probably, and putting a fort there, forget it. This is probably the other place that we might put a fort here in the north, but we don't own that yet, so we'll see. Hopefully it's gonna be a little tight in terms of the money next turn, so we may have to cut recruitment for a turn to get our fort up, or we may delay our fort 1 turn. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Or misfortune will take some of our gold, and then we definitely won't get some infrastructure up or started next turn. So yeah, and then research-wise, alteration. Our research is very slow right now. We are just site searching with our fellow out here that transferred over the Wolf Riders, and then he'll head back and do some more site searching. And then of course we're continuing to assassinate. Hopefully one of these many hearses that I'm recruiting will make his way over once we have cleared out all the commanders and snag that before our neighbors realize what's happening. And we haven't really seen any other new capitals just yet. So yeah, I think that covers turn 5. All right, this is Fullest House, 1st edition, where we are playing Vaettiheim. This is turn 6, and I think we have no expansions this turn, which is not really where you want to be. So we have some assassinations, which are hopefully going well. This one's at night against a regular commander. Neither of us love night, but works out for us. Well done. And then we have another assassination, also at night, also against a commander, so should be fine, right? Right? Okay, so yeah, it does work out for us. So there you go, Dimvetti, they are the bane of regular commanders. And I believe both of these are just pings to see, so it's just our scout. To see what's here. A decent amount. This isn't a crazy province, but it's a good amount of heavy cav and a good amount of heavy infantry as well. We're not going to love tearing through that. And then this should be the night province then, which hopefully will be easier. Yeah. Not too much here overall. More knights than I would have hoped. Sometimes you get some really low numbers of knights and just a lot of militia and longbows. We're not going to love the longbows either, but that's not too much stuff. And then we had an unexpected event. Let's see, Ill Omen. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see. Yeah, this is not our capital, which is good. Don't like unrest in our capital. We finished research alteration 1, moving on to 2. Very late prophet from Raga. Not really sure how they play, so hopefully there's a plan there. And I will see you guys after the cut. Alright, so this is the situation and what we're doing about it. Definitely feeling a little less great about this expansion so far. There's probably a better way to expand with Vaettiheim, but, here we are. So we're going to be doing more assassinating, of course. We've got a hearse coming over. He can't quite make it this turn, right? So he's just sneaking into this province, and then he'll try to capture this next turn. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do that. This forest is still neutral, so we may actually send, we're recruiting more Wolf Riders, of course. So we may send this group out, to take this forest. I did talk about how I didn't want, this kind of weird extension, but we do really want forests, so yeah, it might be worth it. We see Bogarus expanded down here, which is probably good news, right? Because, he's a little farther away from this. He didn't choose to come here. And this is a pretty easy province, so there's a good chance that this, draws him away. Of course, close to his capital, so at any time, he could come in here and take this. We are only doing 1 expansion this turn, so we're going to go after this pretty easy-looking forest. And then with our new group, we're sending them out to to this forest here, and here's our stack of garbage, and we're recruiting a bit more garbage, and then we're probably going to send it all at this, and then this group down here will take this forest, and then maybe like everybody will combine, or maybe just the garbage, or maybe like both wolf riders will combine here to take out this province with the knights. We may try to take this cave depending on what's in it with this group, because it'll probably, our garbage is pretty slow. Map move 10. That's going to be one province a turn in all likelihood. So the timing, I think, won't quite work out for them to hit at the same time. So these guys are going to have an extra turn. It really depends on like what's in the cave, and of course this is somewhat close to Marignon's capital, so there's a fair chance that they've already taken it. But they haven't taken this yet. And like I said, Marignon, late age Marignon has, I think, a bit of troubles expanding, so hopefully we'll have some time there. We are not building any infrastructure this turn. We did just barely have enough money, so if we started a fort construction this turn, we wouldn't be able to get a mage or any wolf riders, and I just feel like we still want some expansion parties, so we'll probably start it next turn. We have enough gold here, and we're basically not quite going to get a fort's worth. It's going to be rough. We may not start the fort next turn either. It's not as bad with Vaettiheim because we do have a decent amount of foreign recruitment. And we will probably send our mage out to build a lab in like one of these forests, and so we'll be able to get like some other mage production going. I don't really know the best order of operations for all this yet with Vaettiheim, so we'll see. Plans may change. We are sending scouts north. And have not yet reached out to the Kalen player. I'll probably do that this coming turn. I believe this is the player that felt that the game was moving too slowly, which, we are on a longer clock than a lot of other games, so I can understand that. Maybe we should make the game a little more exciting for them. I've talked about how Caleb is a decent target, so, we are having thoughts in that way, but we don't really want to bump. I think our Wolf Riders are going to do okay against the birds, but, we're susceptible to getting our commanders sniped, by attack rear shenanigans like anyone else. So it's better if we know that, we're going to be attacked by birds rather than, an unknown bump. So if we can just work out temporary borders without a non-aggression pact, I'll probably go for that. Just let them have like this. Obviously, this is their cap circle, but let them have this province and see if we can convince them for us to have these provinces uncontested. And I think that more or less covers turn 6.